Alan Kohli joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Kohli, thank you for speaking to us on India Today. This is a big verdict that's coming out at this point in the Delhi Riots 2020 case, wherein while 5 of them have been granted bail, the 2 main accused in the very case, which were Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid, they still are to remain behind bars, with national security concerns being cited and spoken of by the Supreme Court when they were doing the hearing.
So, essentially, as a practicing advocate, the way we look at it is that there is no automatic demand or right to bail in a circumstance that involves terrorism or serious acts as what Sharjeel and Umar Khalid and others have been accused of. The larger contours that the court has looked at is, while balancing the imperatives of Article 21, life and liberty, it has looked at the UAPA, it has looked at Section 43 in terms of its applicability. It has considered what a terrorist act would amount to under Section 15, and then gone ahead and balanced the equities to say that at least these two have to, at least for another period of 1 year, continue to be incarcerated, given the nature of their utterances, given the nature of their involvement. Additionally, for the other 5, strict conditions have been put, and the violation of any one of those conditions would lead to a situation where automatically their bail can get cancelled if it's brought before the notice of the trial court. So all in all, the plea that was also being taken of looking at all the 7 of them through a single unified lens has been rejected. There is no such concept in law of a collective bail approach. Bail has to be seen on the individual merits and demerits of each case, and that's what the Honorable Supreme Court has done.
Mr. Kohli, I'd want to understand one thing from you here. If prolonged incarceration is not being looked at as a ground for bail in 2026, what happens in the next 1 year that it might be considered by the Supreme Court?
It's too premature to make these kind of assessments because a lot would depend on how the trial progresses. What is the stage of the witnesses who are sensitive? We must not forget that often the accused cause delay in the trial process by seeking adjournments so as to create a situation to put up a demand that I've been in jail for so long and now I deserve bail. So I think the conduct of the accused and their legal team, their defense team, would also become relevant. If they are not contributing to a delay, if the delay is completely attributable to the state, then of course the circumstances may be different. But all in all, one cannot make a prediction of what the situation would be 1 year from now, because that would depend in its entirety on what the trial court, what happens before the trial court.
When we speak of Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid, there is the entire case of them involved in a pan-India plot for regime change and economic strangulation that comes into focus at this point of time. And that is precisely why this case goes beyond just the Delhi Riots 2020 and their role, even if there is no direct evidence that's been presented by the prosecution for these 2 being involved, because they weren't in Delhi when these riots took place. But despite that, the speeches, which we were just playing out for our viewers, that is still taken into account and cited as grounds for national security concerns to be flagged.
So I have only one comment to make, which is that calling for the dismemberment of India or coming up with a secessionist call or seeking violence on the name of dismemberment of India is not serving the democratic principles of India. It's certainly not a right that one can say is enshrined under the Constitution. And certainly these rights are subject to duties also of a citizen. So if a citizen is calling for violence against a fellow citizen, if a citizen is calling for the dismemberment of the motherland, that is India, which is Bharat, then of course that has to be seen on a separate plane.
Right, right. Mr. Kohli, thank you so much for speaking to us on India Today. And well, those were the insights coming in from a senior advocate at this given point in terms of how he views the very case. But right now, let's quickly take a look at Gulfisha, one of those who's been granted bail, her lawyer. What did he have to say?
The judgment should be made available publicly, I think, in a couple of hours. We will know then. We hope in a couple of days.
Sir, has the prosecution defined any concrete evidence that links Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam to the conspiracy behind the riots?
Again, we have only heard the judgment of the Supreme Court about the conclusions. The reasoning was not read out. Until the judgment comes out in the public domain and is made available to us, we can't comment on
So
that.
the court has stated that both stand on a qualitatively different footing, Umar
Yes.
Khalid and Sharjeel Imam.
Yes.
How do you see?
That is the conclusion based on the charge sheets and the arguments made in court. And as I said, we do not know the rationale which the Supreme Court has relied on or the facts they have relied upon to reach that conclusion yet.
All right. Sir, एक single identified.
So that was
That's what Gulfisha Fatima's lawyer had to say with regards to the verdict that's come in from the Supreme Court. Of course, we're waiting for that detailed verdict to come in terms of what exactly were the observations made by the Supreme Court.